We are at the main looking at the Styles catalog. The main is the owner of all the catalogs that we use in the system, such as styles, items, colors, sizes, vendors, customers, prices, cost. All of the catalogs that we handle basically look the same. Let's go down and open some new catalogs. Let's open our items catalog. It's opening up right now. And let's go and open our sizes catalog. Now if I have all three of these catalogs open here, I can see first of all that I can have several windows open at once, and second of all that all of my catalogs basically look the same. This is because of the object-oriented programming philosophy that we use to design the system. Now if you see across the top, these toolbars that we have here are the same for every one of these catalogs, sizes, items, styles, and for any other catalog. This makes the system very modular. If you know how to use a catalog, you can use any catalog. If you know how to create a new style, then you know how to create a new item, you know how to create a new size, a new color, a new customer registry. Second thing we see is that the toolbar is quite simple. We're using very simple icons, almost kindergarten style icons, and we've grouped them by color according to function. So we have our navigation buttons are in green, our query or lookup buttons are in red, our file buttons are in blue, and so on. And we have pretty easy icons that'll help us when we need to give tech support for personnel in the store. We can say, well, you see the red buttons, why don't you press the one on the right, or press the one that looks like a magnifying glass right here. Okay, let's look at our styles catalog a little more carefully. First thing that we see is that in the style catalog we can handle a photo and we can handle a description down here. Now this is helpful if we have an e-commerce operation. We can use the very same catalog that we use to manage our physical stores to handle all of our e-commerce. The advantages there is I create a style, and that style shows up in my stores. It also shows up in my catalog. If I modify a price, that change is automatically reflected online in my e-store. And more importantly, if I am out of stock in an item, then that information shows up on my e-store as well. The e-store just acts as one more point in the network of stores as if it were any other store. Okay, so I'm seeing that with these green buttons, I can scroll and look at the different styles I have in my catalog. If I look down here, I can see that I have 17 styles currently in my styles catalog, and I'm looking at style number 9. Okay, and the description I have down here can be as long as I want it to be. I also see that I have 2 different names that I can use for the style, and these fields can be as long as I need them to be. I'm just typing gibberish there to illustrate the point. We're no longer restricted in the number of characters that we can use in a field. Now we have 2 names for a style. This style, for example, my vendor may know this style as the KQ984-0762, but I may want to call this style the Calanda style. So for anything that a customer will see, such as a barcode label, invoice, I can configure XpertMart so that it uses the style name, Calanda. And for anything a vendor might see, such as a receipt or a purchase order, I can configure it so that the purchase description field shows up, so that my vendor sees KQ984 and so on. Okay, I also see that I have my price and cost. These are reference price and reference cost fields. Now the topic of prices and costs is a very complicated topic, a lengthy and interesting topic. We can use different costs. We can use an average of the cost that we've received. We can use the last cost of the last shipment we received. But for now, let's just say these are reference prices and reference costs that we input in the system. Similarly with price, we have a whole separate price catalog where we can define the prices that we'll use in 4 different ways, including using a factor of cost, a discount off of this list price, and off of this reference price or list price, and so on. But what I see here is if I modify this price, right now we have $45.95 and I'm showing a margin over here of 68%. If I move this price down to $34.99, then I see this margin dropped was automatically recalculated and dropped from 68 to 58. Same with this cost. If I move this cost up to $19.99, then I see that my margin has dropped to 42.9%. So this is useful because then I also get a dollar figure for my margin there. See, if I switch this margin back down to $16.90, then I get a new margin of $18.09 down there. So this is useful when I'm setting reference prices and cost. It's useful for me to play around to get the margin I want. If I, for example, want a 55% margin, then I might say, well, I need to increase this price just a little bit and move that up to $36.99, and that gets me pretty close. Okay, let's move this up to $37.99, and I have my target margin of 55% there. Okay. Now these gray boxes that you're seeing here in this catalog are embedded catalogs, or catalogs that are related to this style. For example, I have my departments catalog, and I can open up a list here of all the departments I have created so far in my catalog. So this is a catalog that is related to my styles catalog. This style belongs to a certain department. It belongs to a certain vendor. I can also see my list of vendors there, right? And so on and so forth with brands. I can see what brands I have in my catalog. I can see what seasons I have, material, collection, tax type, and so on. Each one of these catalogs is more data, more information that I am associating with this particular style. We like to say that more than a point of sale, we're dealing with a point of statistics, where every time you make a sale, there's at least 30 or 40 pieces of data associated with that sale. What did you sell? When did you sell it? What style was it? What color? What size, what cost, at what price, from what vendor, and so on. So we are accumulating huge amounts of information that we can then dissect. It's like a cube of data that we can then dissect to better understand our business. So for example, with material down here, I see that I have synthetic, I have leather, I have Napa leather, ostrich feather, rubber, and so on. I can have as many types of materials as I want. So one way I can cut this data to better understand my business is look at my sales by material and say and by season, and I can say, well, in this last fall season, was leather selling better than synthetic, or was PVC selling better than rubber? And I can use this kind of information the next time I purchase items for the next season. Okay, we've seen that with this button we can pull down the existing registries that belong to this catalog. I'm looking at my departments catalog, and I can see that I can pull down what departments I have created so far. And with this zoom button over here, I can directly open the catalog. I'm looking over here at my departments catalog, and I see I have 23 departments created, and each department consists of a line. For example, women's, children's, men's, a class, shoes, clothing, accessories, a subclass, sporty, casual, formal, and a type, sneakers, backpack, blouse, boots, loafers, and so on. And each one of these is, again, a catalog associated with this catalog. So I'm looking at my department's catalog, but with this zoom button over here, I can open up my types catalog and look at the types that I've created over here. And see I've got boots, sneakers, moccasins, slippers, and so on. And so I can open these catalogs without ever having to exit the original catalog I was in. Okay, this button over here gives us a matrix view. For every style that I have this button, which when I press this opens up this matrix right here, which we can make the size that we want, which shows all of the current inventory or stock levels that I have for this style. I've got a grand total over here in pink. It's 1,883 items in inventory, and I have subtotals for each size. I've got across the top here 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. For example, I'm looking down here. I have 231 pairs of this Calanda shoe, size 5 in stock. And I have subtotals for combinations of color and store. So I see that in the color black in my Pacific store, look over here, I have 59 of these shoes. And these scroll bars, these subtotals stay fixed even if I move along with these scroll bars right down there. If I move these scroll bars down here, I can always see my subtotals and totals. Now I can also switch the order around. If, for example, I want to compare the number of shoes I have in stock for my size 8 with my size 5, well, I can drag this column over here and do a comparison right there, and then I can drag this column back once I'm done with that comparison. Let's see. Oops. Okay. And I can also move these columns around. Right now I'm looking at my inventory by color and store. I'm seeing red. I got gold, red, silver, white. I can also switch this around so that I can see first by store, and I can see, okay, in my Capilano store, how many do I have in black and gold and red and silver and white? In Oak Ridge, how many do I have in black, gold, red, silver? Or I can switch back and see in black, how many do I have in the Capilano store, how many in the Oak Ridge store, how many in the Pacific store? And I'm looking at subtotals here all along as I move around and make these changes.